This is VSiN PrimeTime. Live from the Circus Sportsbook in downtown Las Vegas on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Hour 2 of VSiN PrimeTime alongside Jonathan Von Tobel. I'm Tim Murray. Got the Dallas Mavericks hosting the Los Angeles Lakers right now. 21 apiece in the first quarter, not in the fourth quarter. That would be a little odd. Luka Doncic already with 11 points in this one in his return, and he just hit a three a moment ago. And you and I, JVT, were laughing as there was a young lady wearing a Lakers Luka jersey. And I don't know if she knew this gentleman, hoping that she did, but she was pointing in his face like, yeah, take that.
He was in a Mavericks polo.
Should have never traded him. It's your fault.
Yeah, you do hope that that woman knows that man, because those are fighting words right there at that point. So I was looking, I'm trying to see if there's really nothing really sticks out. I'll say this. One thing that does kind of pop up here, we mentioned that the Lakers don't really have like a ton of size, right? That's been one of the common threads of analysis when you look at this Lakers team. Derek Lively early does have 6 points on 3 of 3 shooting, so maybe this is a big Derek Lively night. Some of it's come with his own volition. The others come off assists and some nice nifty dunks that he's finished. But I think this could portend for good things to come for Derek Lively if this continues to be the case. Again, 6 points on 3 of 3 shooting. No rebounds so far, so just coming at the rim right now.
Luka Doncic, once again, 11 points already. His live over-under is 35.5 right now at DraftKings, so up from where it closed at 30.5. Austin Reeves, just 2 points, and his over-under has dropped a little bit down to 17.5, and something is coming on the next Lakers possession that will up the number even more for Luka Doncic here.
Oh, boy, Matt Humans has rubbed off on you, huh?
I know. As he's going to, I bet you he makes his 3. I bet you a Dom DeMarco's gift card. He makes.
Can we all agree? I think I'm gonna pull our crew in the back here as well. Don't tell Humans about this. Can we all agree it's annoying? Stop watching the live. Stop watching the live number.
I was not meaning to there. I would agree. I agree with your assessment.
Well, Alexis didn't like it because during the national championship game, as she checks in her ear, it says, I hate it. Every step of the way. Humans like, I bet you that. Oh, another 3 coming. Another 3 coming.
Well, the funny thing is, so during the national championship in football, Humans and I, as you would imagine, I was hoping for positive things from Notre Dame, and there weren't a ton after the opening drive, but Humans incorrectly read the live line, and he had predicted that the 2-point conversion that Notre Dame did convert would fail.
Oh,
and I was like, oh, it did. It was good. How about that? No, I would agree. Alexis back there, part of our team. I got to imagine that was a rough night for her and the Houston Cougars. It was not a fun, enjoyable night for me. And neither was, I think you were okay.
It was fine.
Yeah. You were more upset on Saturday night.
Yes. As I told Mitch, he's lucky I did not see him. It's a very good thing we did not watch that game together.
Oh, why would you ever? He didn't ask to watch it with you.
No, just in the moment, because I was at Bar Canada, so if he happened to show up or anything like that, then it would have gone down. Paul tried to say he would have stuck up for him, and I told Paul I'd take you too. Paul, in that moment, he was not holding me back.
So I haven't spoken to you. Well, I did. I spoke to you on Monday, but we haven't really gone into it. So you were on the air. You hosted Live Bet Saturday for the first half of the Auburn game?
Yeah, pretty much.
So you were probably elated on air.
No, not at all.
You were anticipating?
I knew. What did I tell you on Monday? I told you, or whenever I saw you, I told you, this is not going to happen. I was pessimistic all week. I knew.
Oh yeah, you were. Well, yeah, you were thriving negativity.
Yes, and I was right
all week long.
And I knew it. I was right the whole time. Because why in the world would that happen for me? Mitch really needed the win. So I was not happy at all. Even when they were up 9, like Mike Palm asked me, he's like, if I told you this, like, you'd be happy, right? I'm like, I'll take it. Like, I was not. No, there's no positivity coming here, and there's a good reason why.
Did you? So what was your position for the second half? Did you stay at Bar Canada or did you leave?
Oh, I stayed at Bar Canada, sat by myself.
I was going to say, did you sit in the corner by yourself?
Yeah, I sat at the big table by myself, and then with like 3 minutes left to go, 2 minutes 45 minutes, 2 minutes 45 seconds left to go, I just walked out because I knew they were going to lose. So I didn't even watch the end. Something happened in the last couple of minutes. Was Chad Baker-Mazara did something weird, or was he laughing? Matt was like, "Did you see him laughing with the players?" On my man, I left with like 3 minutes left. No, I did not. I did not want to watch the end of that. To be honest with you, on the nasty, was it Elijah Martin or was it
dunk?
Richard with the dunk in
With
transition?
the dunk that looked like he was Jordan?
Yeah, when that happened, in that moment, I officially confirmed, like, oh, yeah, cool. This is they're going to lose this game. It was great. It was great.
I'm not laughing, but I am kind of laughing.
All I know is that when Sebastian, Mitch's young child, turns 18, I'm going to show up and be like, you owe me money, kid.
Give me my money. All right, we got a lot to get to. Kelley Bydlon's going to come up here in just a little bit. One of the hosts of the Long Shots podcast. We'll get some Masters bets from him. So let's get to it, JVT. Fired on a couple of Masters plays today, and what do you got on the card so far for the Masters?
Don't really have much. I would actually say that you should probably go first because you probably have more than I do at this point right now. I think the couple that I have in pocket, like literally just the couple. Justin Rose is something I bet here. He's up at about 155 to 1. I think that's worth playing on. I think Rose, if you look at his course history, how well he has done here, over 66 rounds played, he's top 10 in terms of true strokes gained on the course at Augusta. We know how good he can be with his putter. We know that he lost in that playoff to Sergio, as Humans and I discussed. I think that's very much worth looking at that price. Tommy Fleetwood is part of the portfolio. I know Humans will make fun of me.
That's a guy that you always have in your card,
he's, as I have called him now, the great white whale for me. Finished tied for third last time here at Augusta. He's played 30 rounds on the course, so plus 1.4 in terms of true strokes gained. He's played the course pretty well at Augusta, and you're getting him in the range of about 45 to 1. I think that those are two that are very much worth investing in. I added them to my own portfolio. Think I'll add a couple. Want to get, I think, a little cute. You're not hearing great things about Rory coming into this right now. He's in the range of about 725 or so.
His number went up today at Circa, worth noting, because I did add Rory to the card, and I'm fully anticipating
what'd you
him.
get? Because I was looking at about like 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock. He was like plus 725.
Yeah, so two markets on Rory at Circa went up today. The outright, as you mentioned, plus 725 is what I bet it at. And then his top 5 went up to plus 170, which was at Circa, I was looking at plus 158, and then right before I bet it. So, Circa doing what they normally do, adjusting the odds as other bets come in. So they did shift that a little bit. I am fully anticipating to hate myself with as much as I have on Rory, but we'll see, man. I know this is he's been waiting to wrap up this career Grand Slam, but yeah, I will be in on Rory, and Circa had the best price out there on both top 5 and to win it outright. That was without a doubt. I mean, I didn't bet any Scotty, so that is the shortest number that I took out there from a bet standpoint.
Yep, and there's a couple other guys. I will say like a guy like Cameron Young is pretty interesting because Young's numbers here on this course in a short sample size are pretty good. In his last 2 appearances at Augusta, tied for 7th, tied for 9th. He's played extremely well. So like at 100 and I think 45 to 1 was the last look for me. That's, I think, something intriguing worth adding as a long shot. But for sure right now, I've just got those 2 outrights, and I'm going to add a couple of more guys as we move along here. But I also want to play some matchups against Rory as well, kind of shopping around for some of the best ones.
Against Rory?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't love the press conference. We talked about this either yesterday or Monday, but he was very dodgy about answering questions about his elbow until he was finally pressed on it and said, like, no, it's fine. And then some other things that are out there. So we'll see. But I want to find at least some spots where I can play against him because it's not like I'm going to be laying big prices trying to play against him in some of these matchups.
Yeah, there's going to be some good prices out there if you're looking outside of Scotty, right, to go against someone like Rory. So I do have Rory in the folder, some outright, some top 5, some top 10. I also bet a little Justin Thomas, top 20, which he has been playing well, but we all know that JT is it's been struggling a little bit over the past couple of years. The one that Steve Sands, who might join the show a little bit later, just talked about how poor of a form Max Homa is in. So I did at stations bet him to miss the cut at minus 130. So that's something I have in there. And then I'm in on Colin Morikawa at 16 to 1 and also plus 130 in the top 10. And then lastly, on the show on Sunday, Scott Van Pelt said Sepp Straka was someone to look at from a long shot standpoint. So I added a little.
I listened.
Sepp Straka at minus 125, top 40, and then a little sprinkle on 75 to 1 outright on Sepp Straka. So
don't call Scott Van Pelt the Tim Murray of Maryland.
Is that what they say?
That's what they say.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I did live there for a while before he moved back. So I'm just pointing that one out. Quick update from Dallas in the closing seconds of the first quarter. The Mavericks lead 28-26. Luka Doncic in his return, I believe, still has 14 points. So off to a strong start is Luka in his return. Over-under for Luka Doncic heading into tonight was 30.5. LeBron with 4 points. Anthony Davis in his first game against his former mates has 2 points so far this evening. So 30-26 now, the Dallas Mavericks in the closing seconds of the first quarter. Mavericks went off as a 4.5-point underdog and have a 4-point lead here in the closing seconds of the first quarter. Hey, folks, we're running a summer special right now, and part of that VSiN Pro subscriptions are the betting splits from both DraftKings and Circa. You can get that for as little as $59 all the way through August 1st. Head on over to vsin.com/subscribe. 30-26, Mavericks with the lead over the Los Angeles Lakers. Looks like a little update after giving up a grand slam, in the first inning, JVT? Yeah. Your boys, the Halos, chipping away at the deficit against the Rays.
Yeah, Ward with a solo shot, so that's how they're on the board, 2 solo shots. And 4-2 right now, and Chanel's up, and he is 2 for 2 for the day. So let's see if they can get back into this thing. Plenty of time left.
We're going to talk more Masters, some NBA as well with Kelley Bydlon. He'll jump on the program on the other side of the break. End of the first quarter in Dallas. Mavericks have a 4-point lead over the Los Angeles Lakers, 30-26. Your live number as we head to break, as the Lakers are a 2.5-point favorite.
This is VSiN PrimeTime on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Keep it rolling here. It is VSiN PrimeTime, end of the first quarter in Dallas. The Mavericks, a 30-26 lead over the Los Angeles Lakers. 14 points, almost shortchanged him. 14 points for Luka Doncic in that opening quarter. Anthony Davis had 2 points there for the Dallas Mavericks, leading the way for the Mavs as Marshall has 9. Derek Lively, as you alluded to, JVT, has 6 points for the Dallas Mavericks. So a 4-point lead right now for the Dallas Mavericks early on in the second quarter. That game closed as a 4.5-point spread. Important to some, or just me, Wizards and Sixers. Sixers with a 3-point lead. JVT's season win total already home. I got a bad number, so I need one more loss from the Washington Wizards.
I'm focused on the game with number 77 on the floor, though.
Not the Lakers and Luka Doncic.
Jamison battle, baby. Doing battle for the Toronto Raptors against the Charlotte Hornets. That's really the game of the night.
The pride of George Washington. Jamison battle.
Sure, I'll believe it with a name like that.
I think he started there. I don't know if he finished there. All right, enough of that. Let's get to our progressive guest line. And welcome in Kelley Bydlon. You can catch him, Matt Brown, Wes Reynolds on the Long Shots podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, as they're breaking down the Masters. Of course, weekdays with Gil Alexander on a numbers game.
Also part of the Harvard Handicappers group chat. Rest in peace.
Can you make that public? Like a public... Everyone's doing a Discord nowadays. Could you guys do like a Discord or something?
We've chatted about that, but Kelley, I don't know. I don't really... I feel like that's something...
I don't even know what those are, but...
I feel like I would start it, and then I wouldn't follow it enough.
Hey, it's an app on my phone I've downloaded multiple times to use once, and then, not again until I download it again.
So there we go.
What's up, boys? How you doing?
We're great, Kelley. Let's get into the Masters, which, of course, gets going tomorrow. Folks looking to add to their portfolios. I said to JVT before walking on to the set this afternoon, I said, can't wait to lose a lot of money in the Masters. Really excited for it. Tradition unlike any other. So Rory McIlroy, someone that, people that I think all of us respect, believe, hey, this might be the year. He finally gets it done. But JVT may be a little skeptical of, what's been coming out of Augusta. Do you have any Rory exposure heading into the Masters, or are you looking to fade him potentially down there in Augusta?
I am on Rory McIlroy. He is one of my few outright bets. I do have him outright to win the Masters. I think we finally get this career Grand Slam home. I think that the difference between now and all the other years is the incredible form that he is coming into play with. We're talking about the guy who's won twice on tour already this season, and a bunch of other good results. T5 at Houston, T15 at the Arnold Palmer, T17 at the Genesis. A bunch of quality finishes since the PGA Tour season has begun. begun. In my opinion, the odds should be a lot closer from where Scottie Scheffler is at with Rory McIlroy. Those two should be a lot more closely bunched together at the top of the board. So I do like Rory this week. I played him an outright and top 5 to cover that. So yes, I do think Rory McIlroy gets it done, guys. I think he's the guy to beat this week.
When you look at this field, then, if we're talking about Scheffler at the top, first off, what kind of form does he come into with? Is he rightfully priced at the top? And if we think he's maybe a bit mispriced outside of Rory, how do we attack maybe a mispriced favorite at the top of this market?
Well, you can always go and play Rory McIlroy in a matchup against Scottie Scheffler
at that right
at
now.
A nice price at plus 140 around there. Look, I'm choosing not to do that, JVT. I got respect for Scheffler. I think the way that I'm really looking at this is I've got the golfer who is entering this tournament with the higher ceiling. I think Scottie Scheffler, you could confidently say, has the higher floor. I think it'd be really shocking to see Scheffler, finish outside of the top 20 or something like that. Meanwhile, I think Rory could go out and win the thing, or he could easily finish, 35th or something like that. So I think that's the way I'm kind of viewing those two. Not really looking to attack Scheffler. I do think he's a quality guy. I think the quality player in the tournament. I think he should be the short shot. My point is, I just think those odds should be a little closer together, with Rory a little shorter and Scottie a little longer.
We're talking once again to Kelley Bydlon, joining us courtesy of our progressive guest line. So Rory McIlroy, one of your plays. I want to jump to a longer shot, and I know you bet him early on in the process, but this is a name that keeps coming up. And I mentioned, Scott Van Pelt was on my show on Sunday. He liked him. I saw that you and Matt Brown both are in on him as well. I was texting with Steve Sands. He's interested in Sepp Straka. So what about Straka this week down at the Masters makes him an intriguing long shot, which you could find right now at 75-1 at DraftKings?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think an incredible player that we're sleeping on. The books are sleeping on a little bit this season. Look, he's one. Yes, I bet him probably 6 weeks ago at 100-1. Scooped up a Masters ticket on him then at that price, but I would bet it at current price. Like you're talking about, Tim, 75-1. Absolutely, I think it's still a good number. I have a top 5 on him. I have a top 20 on him as well. Probably, and a first round leader bet as well. I think he's the number 1 golfer I am the most heavily invested in this week. Look, in last 16 rounds, he comes in. He's 5th on strokes gained approach in the field. He's 5th in par 5 scoring. And I really want to emphasize that one, guys, because par 5s are where you have to score on this course. 75% roughly of the scoring comes on the par 5s. It's always the old saying at Augusta, you got to score on the par 5s, survive the par 4s. And when you see a guy like that coming in, he might not be the longest off the tee, but he's an accurate guy off the tee. You're going to hear a lot of premium on distance this week. Yes, I believe in that, but overall, you got to have accuracy or distance. And if you're not going to have the distance like some of the other guys do, like a Rory McIlroy does, you got to be able to make it up with the long iron play. And Sepp Straka can absolutely do that. Look, his scrambling is going to be tested a little bit. He hasn't played the Masters as much as some of these other guys that he's going to be going up against, but he did finish T16 last year. So you're always looking for a little bit of that quality history at this event to pull off of. But yeah, Straka, I think at price, I think he's a good bet. I really like him in the top 20 market.
Is there a golfer that you're hearing a lot of positive things about that you just don't understand, you don't vibe with, you don't get it?
Man, good call. I think it's tough for me to get behind any of the live guys right now, honestly. Okay. I think there are, I mean, once we get, just on the odds board, once you get behind Scheffler and Rory, there is, I think, a lot of those guys in the mid-range that there's question marks over. Rahm. Okay, he's finished top 10 in every live event he's teed it up in this year. That's great. He hasn't won one, though, and live fields are even shorter, about half the size of what we're going to get at the Masters. So you're going to go bet him at 13-1. He's a former Masters champ. Of course, he could win, but I got no interest in backing him this week. Collin Morikawa, look, I have a sizable top 10 play on him. I think there are questions, though, about Morikawa's finishing ability at this point. We've seen him come up short on Sundays, and that's something that scared me off a little bit, that I don't really have any interest in betting outright on him. Look, DeChambeau, same type of thing. We haven't seen as many quality finishes on live. We have seen him at least win a major recently, though. So I think that would be what I'd be pointing toward him. Xander Schauffele, still kind of putting it together all after the injury. I could keep going through a lot of these guys. I just think you can poke holes in a lot of these guys' games. Like, I think Ludwig, Justin Thomas, Hideki, I think should be drawing a lot of interest for a lot of good reasons. Ludwig and Hideki already with wins this season. But if you go and look at what those three have done through the course of this season, it has been a lot of ups and downs and a lack of consistency really from all three of them. And what I'm looking for on backing a golfer heading into this tournament is someone who has been playing well recently, has played well at the Masters before, and has played well in majors, frankly. So those three guys, I think just with the up and down consistency of late is just not something I'm looking to get behind this week. I do have Justin Thomas in a matchup play. That's really more of a price against Patrick Cantlay, who I have far lower rated.
Well, I want to get to Justin Thomas because I played a little on him top 20, Kelley, and you've heard some positive things about JT coming into the Masters, but you talk about, course play, and I know he's had a couple of top 10s at the Masters in recent memory, but he also missed the cut the last 2 years. So what do we make of his current form versus the last couple of years where it feels like since he won the PGA Championship in 22, it's really been pretty ugly for JT?
Yeah, it has been, and no wins, right? No wins, period, at any tournament in that time. I think if you are looking for positives on JT, I mean, look, the approach play has been incredible this year, and he's known for as one of the best approach players on tour. It's still been great, but man, he's had some shaky accuracy off the tee this year. That would be a concern. Now, it's not as big of a concern at Augusta. So when we're talking about the ball striking stats, yeah, I think he checks the boxes there, but then the putting has been a nightmare for most of the season, and he's going to have to go up on some of the most challenging green complexes that these guys face all season. It's just, I do have him in that matchup over Cantlay. He's a guy that I wouldn't be shocked if he won, but man, not someone I'm looking to back too heavily.
All right, last 45 seconds. Did you do anything with Nuggets Kings tonight?
No, I did not do anything with Nuggets Kings tonight. Nothing for the NBA for me tonight, JVT. I've got the Pacers, though, circled tomorrow. I'm seeing 8.5 at home against the Cavs with a lot of Cavaliers on that injury report.
At Kelley Bydlon, make sure you put an E in there, Kelley Bydlon, there on social media. Check out the Long Shots podcast, and, of course, tomorrow, he and Gil Alexander, a numbers game. Kelley, appreciate it, my friend.
Yep, thanks, fellas.
There he is, Kelley Bydlon. He laughed at you. He laughed in your face.
Oh, what?
How dare you ask about Kings and Nuggets?
He's about to be on Sirius XM, too. How about that?
It's true.
Sister station.
Yeah, there you go. Check that out.
Why is it not brother station? Why is it always sister?
Oh. Luka Doncic, 18 points. We'll get you updated on Cavs, Mavs, and Lakers next.
This is VSiN Primetime on VSiN, the sports betting network.
It is VSiN Primetime here on a busy Wednesday night in Dallas. The Lakers, a 49-47 lead over the Mavericks. 4 and change to go in the second quarter. Luka Doncic having himself a pretty good return to his old stomping grounds. 22 points for Luka Doncic. Over-under coming into the game was at 30.5. And I did not see, and I have to double-check, but I would imagine sportsbooks are not cheering for Luka Doncic to go over his point total here this evening.
One would think that it is a popular side, much like I would assume the Raptors tonight. So, yeah, probably not the case, but well on his way to doing it.
Right now. He is pretty strong right now. John Ewing over at BetMGM said Lakers minus 4.5. The most bet team to cover this evening was the Los Angeles Lakers at BetMGM. That was 3.5 hours ago. So not that surprising. We gave you the betting splits from DraftKings as well, as it was a pretty popular bet to look at as Luka Doncic buries another 3. So, it's funny. I was texting with a buddy of mine, and I don't dabble really in player props all that often, JVT. And it did feel like a bit of a sucker play as we talked to Rick about it, and Rick Kamala didn't really have an edge. He felt like on one side or the other. But there is just times where you're thinking he's probably pretty fired up to be playing back home. And right now, 25 points for Luka Doncic, and we're not even at the half right now in this one.
He was also just yelling something into the crowd. He's so I don't know.
Was it Nico? Was Nico on this? Where's Nico sitting?
That's what I want to know too. Actually, I haven't really checked social media at all to see if there is some dynamic there with him out there. But that is probably, if you're struggling to find someone to direct all of your energy toward in a format like this or in a scenario like this, he's probably the easy one to find and direct it all toward.
By the way, we've talked about the tribute video as someone has a sign that says "Thank you, Luka" that they just showed on the ESPN broadcast. How about Trae Young chiming in on Twitter and saying he was never gonna leave. ...
It's a weird thing, man.
I still remember I had you on the show. So the trade went down on Friday night, on a Saturday night, and it was right before. It was the Sunday before the Super Bowl, right? Is that when the trade went down? The Sunday before the Super Bowl.
Yes.
And I had you on the VSiN Weekend Morning Line, and we were talking. I think you were talking about AD could mean something for them down low. This could actually work out for the Dallas Mavericks. And I was like, so what do you think of the trade? And you go, it's the dumbest trade I've ever seen. I mean, it is. It still is. I mean, when you think about this year in the NBA, and you are, as is Kelley, one of our... Oh, there's Nico. There he is. Hey, they're showing him on the broadcast. It's been a pretty wild year, man, in the NBA. When you think about the Luka trade as, I don't know, top 5 most shocking acquisition in sports history, maybe number 1. And then you get the Grizzlies firing their coach with 9 games to go. Mm-hmm. And now Michael Malone, who won the title less than 2 years ago, he gets shown the door with 4 games to go. I mean, this NBA season, from that standpoint, has been pretty wild and wacky.
Yeah, it's been pretty weird. The Malone stuff is very weird, too.
Luka can't make free throws, by the way.
52-49, misses a free throw with that 3 minutes left to go in the first half. Yeah, it's all ridiculous, especially when you're talking about 2 coaches who have done very well, one of them being a finals winning coach, and being fired the way that he was days before the postseason. Dude, the final day of the regular season's on Sunday.
Yeah.
We're here. And very excited for these postseason series, but
I have no idea how the Western Conference is going to unfold here.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, this is a very important game, and as I think it was Windhorst who noted it on his podcast, I'm sure others have pointed it out as well. The Lakers right now, I think they have the tiebreaker over everybody that they are dealing with, so they're in a good situation there. If they were able to win this game, boy, they're in a pretty good spot to end up as the 3 seed because their final 2 games, they have Houston at home on Friday, and then they wrap up on the road at Portland. Nothing's guaranteed, but to have all of those teams, all that left, and to have the tiebreakers, if they are able to pull this out tonight, and by no stretch of the imagination is this a gimme right now, as it's 53-51 with 2 minutes and 28 seconds to go in the quarter, but if they're able to win tonight, it feels like the Lakers are in a pretty good spot to get that 3 seed.
Apparently, the Mavericks threw up on the Jumbotron the NBA fan code of conduct during one of the free throws. So apparently they're not pretty happy about what is happening. Disruptive behavior unacceptable. All fans must comply with health and safety protocols. Violations subject to ejection. Report any violations to your nearest AAC usher.
I'm sure they will
totally
oblige, yeah.
Yep.
Because everyone there is probably thrilled with the organization and how it is, how things have played out. Did your Angels hit another homer, or was that a replay?
4-3. Unless it's tied 4-4, we did get a third solo shot. That was Soler who hit it. So it is 4-3 right now, unless I missed another home run that would have tied the game up at 4 runs apiece.
We did get a walk-off today, much to my chagrin, as the San Francisco Giants. You buying in on the Giants right now?
Kinda. I mean, a little bit. I think their lineup is sneaky solid. I mean, there's a little bit of depth to this here for San Francisco, and the pitching is actually above average. So, am I buying it into the extent of I think this team can be a playoff team? Yeah. Do I think that they're going to win the whole thing? Maybe not. But I do think that this is a legitimately good team that could maybe make its way into the postseason.
Mike Yastrzemski hit a 2-run walk-off. I think it went into McCovey Cove. 8-6 the final for the Giants as they improved to 9-3. The Dodgers did come back to beat my Nationals. 6-5 was the score. Kind of a fun one there, as the Dodgers played at 4 in the first. The Nats responded with 3 in the bottom of the first. Ultimately took the lead against the Dodgers until giving it away in the 7th inning. So the Dodgers, they're now 10-4. The Padres are 10-3, and the Giants are 9-3. And the Arizona Diamondbacks, a team that I think many people were high on JVT coming into this year. They won today 9-0, so they've not gotten off to the greatest start, but still the Diamondbacks are no chumps. They're 7-6. The Rockies suck, but I mean, you got 4 really good teams in that division. That NL West is going to be awesome to watch all year long.
Yeah, I brought this up to Matt. What I was hoping to find at some point would be a Field versus the Dodgers NL West bet.
Ooh.
Because if I can get all 3, Arizona, San Francisco and San Diego, and I guess the Rockies, versus
Come on, the
Dodgers,
Rockies are off to a 2-8 start. You never know; they could come back.
Who are $5.25 favorites to win the division. The division
insane.
Looks very competent. Yeah, that price at the beginning of the year is nuts. Like, I'd take my crack at the Dodgers in that regard. If you're going to give me all 3 of those teams, especially with the way the Padres are hitting, I'll take my chances with it.
So what if, man? Maybe I'll do this during the break, because if we priced it out where you put 100 on the Padres, Diamondbacks, and Giants, obviously that would, I'm just using that as a round number, so whatever unit you want to use, the field would be more intriguing, certainly, but you still would be able to get a decent return if one of those teams won, and you don't have to put anything on the Rockies at 250.
Very true.
Man, I get it. The Dodgers are awesome, and Chris Massaro, we love you. If you're watching, I know your run line. My boys didn't let your run line bets come home there at any point in the stretch there in DC. But the Dodgers being minus 525. I mean, I know they're awesome, and they're not off to a bad start. They're 10-4.
Well, lost how many? What now? 4 out of 5 or whatever it is. Yeah. Oh, they won today. So now
they won today. Yeah, but they lost the series to the Nationals.
They had lost 4 out of 5 coming into this game today. Yes.
So
they're not perfect. They are human.
They bleed blood like Ivan Drago. Minute 45 to go in the first half, and the Lakers up 55-51. Luka, by the way, another bucket. So once again, if you ultimately went over on Luka's prop, you're feeling decent right now. Over-under was 30.5, and he has 28 first-half points.
Feeling decent? You got a winner.
Don't mush him. He might go scoreless in the second half here. But yeah, Luka Doncic is having a pretty decent performance in his return to Dallas with 28 points so far, as the Lakers have a 55-51 lead with a minute to go in the first half. Hey folks, the Masters is here, and our partner Profit X is offering the best odds all tournament long. Profit X is a peer-to-peer sports exchange available in 40 states. The first of its kind in the U.S. You'll be able to make your sports picks against other groups of fans rather than against the sportsbooks. Exchanges guarantee you the best odds by average by 10 to 20%. You can even request your own odds. Download Profit X today and use the code VSiN. That's VSIN, and earn up to $200 in profit cash over your first month. All right, closing seconds in the first half of our game of the night. We have 2 games of the night. Lakers right now with a 60-55 lead over over the Dallas Mavericks. 27 seconds to go as Austin Reeves gets a bucket. Luka Doncic, by the way, JVT, officially over his prop. He has 31 points. Pretty easy victory for anyone who took over Luka Doncic.
This is VSiN PrimeTime on VSiN, the sports betting network.
JVT, you need to take a sip of your caffeine. You need that caffeine. You're fired up today.
Got a little bit.
I like it. I like on edge JVT. JV Triggered, right?
Isn't that what we call it? John Von Triggered.
John Von Triggered. That's what it was.
Look, I was espousing to you that look, everybody's great and wonderful, and I hope they all come out here to this wonderful property at Circa. But one of my pet peeves is that when you get a group of people, we'll bring Zach Cohen in on this progressive guest line. He'll do all the hosting stuff for you. He's here.
It's good hosting.
When they have like a group of 4 people and they walk like 4 wide in a very small space, but then they're all walking like really slow and like, oh, wow, this is a great building. And it's like,
you're like, we only have 4 minutes in between breaks.
Move.
Get out of the way.
Like, there's traffic. Let's go.
I had to run to the convenience mart here. I had to get my energy drink.
And then they turn around and look at me because I'm walking so close to them because they're walking so glacially slow that I'm like walking as part of the group. And I'm like, move. What do you want me to do? Very irritating.
Zachary Cohen would never.
No, Zach's got a mean
group.
streak. Zach's got a mean streak.
I haven't seen that yet, but I'll take your word for it as he's part of the.
Zach wanted people to go kick people's asses yesterday between the Grizzlies, right? You were to speak to it, Zach.
I did see. Did I see an F-bomb tweeted out from Zach Cohen? I was a little off. I was like, wait, what's happening now? We explain. You were fired up.
I couldn't believe nobody stood up for Jalen Wells last night. I thought that, I thought Simpson didn't have any ill intent with that play, but it was very, very reckless.
I thought so. To that point, Zach, I made the point to Matt when we talked about it yesterday. Because I think you're right to an extent. Mr. Fake Tough Guy John Morant, right? Like, this is all he wants. He just wants smoke. That's all he ever espouses here with his actions. Here's the moment. Your guy's on the ground. He broke his wrist. Stick up for him. And instead he has a mild-mannered conversation with Miles Bridges while his rookie's writhing in pain on the ground. Like, it was ridiculous. I'm with you.
Dylan Brooks would not have stood for that.
No. That's it?
What?
You're a host. I
didn't know if we want to get. By the way, quick update: Lakers do lead by 3 at the break, and Luka Doncic over his player prop already. 31 points in the first half for Luka Doncic as the Lakers have a 3-point lead. All right, let's get to later on tonight as we have the Sacramento Kings taking on the Denver Nuggets. This is our second game of the night. The Denver Nuggets right now a 4.5-point favorite. Of course, they will be in their first game without Michael Malone as their head coach. Zach, are you looking at the dog here, or are you anticipating the old fired coach bump from the Nuggets?
Yeah, I like the Kings tonight. I saw that this opened at -1 for Denver. I don't really see why it's moved this much to -4.5. I understand there might be the bump, with Edelman getting in there and, maybe firing up this team that seemingly had quit on Mike Malone. But I don't think that this line should have moved this much. I think the Kings have played some decent basketball in the last week, including, a road win over a solid Detroit team the other night. And this Kings team is really good offensively still. For all their flaws, they're 7th in the league in adjusted offensive rating. We know that this Denver team can't guard anyone, so I think it's going to take a really good effort from the Nuggets offensively to win this one, and it's possible that they turn that in. But, Jamal Murray's out tonight, so it's going to need to come from somebody that's not Nikola Jokic. I still don't know who that is. That's part of the reason why, it was unfair a little bit that Malone did get fired, is this team is not built to support him right now.
A quick update. If you're watching the market move a little bit here, no Norm Powell tonight for the Los Angeles Clippers, officially announced there. So they are 10.5-point favorites, total 219.5. Zach, we get news today from Shams regarding the Kings. Malik Monk's not going to get reevaluated for a few weeks. What do you make of the Kings coming out of the play-in? How does that shape your opinion of them, that he would not be available for them until they get to a first round, should they get to a first round?
I honestly, this is the worst answer. I have not thought much about what that game between the Mavericks and Kings is going to look like, because that team is probably going to get smoked by the loser of the 7-8 game. And whoever wins that game is going to, lose to the Thunder very easily. So I haven't thought much about big picture with Sacramento. I do think that they, are going to be competitive tonight. I still think that even when Monk doesn't play, they have a really good group of guards, because you still do have DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine. Those are two guys that can really score the basketball. LaVine has been on fire over the last couple of nights. And I think Keon Ellis, when he plays big minutes, is a guy that they need in that rotation a little bit more than he plays when everybody's healthy. So I actually think it helps them a little bit in the short term, being forced to play Ellis 35 minutes.
Will a season like this force the NBA to potentially look at their play-in structure, in that maybe if you reach a certain point in terms of games led, you don't have to participate in a play-in? Because if Minnesota, let's use Minnesota for example, let's say Minnesota loses their first play-in to Memphis, and then the Kings have a hot shooting night and hit 60% of their threes. Well, okay, I'm the Minnesota Timberwolves. I won nearly 50 games, but because of this scenario, this team got hot in a one-off, and do you think they'll maybe look at this if something like that have to happen, or do you think they're fine with the way this is structured?
I would like for something for that to happen, but I do think that they seem to like the way this is going the last few years. I think that they've had good ratings in these play-in games. So I don't really see any changes coming right now, but I think it is a little insane that, we throw away an entire season for a few nights.
Yeah, no, I agree. It is bizarre because we had a year, I think, was it the year before the play-in started when we were down in the bubble where the Mavericks had like 50 wins and the team that they had to play had like 30 some odd wins. So
it happened to the Clippers a couple years ago. Clippers finished in the play-in. I think they had won. I don't remember what it was, but the Pelicans, I think it was the Pelicans who got red hot and just bounced them. It was like, okay, all right, see you later. Paul George didn't show up either. So
Zachary Cohen joining us here with the best social media handle out there. Is Shine still giving you grief here on this one, betting on X? Or is he giving up on it?
I have a few weekly spots and I either hear that it's the worst handle in the world or it's the best handle in the world. So I just can't make a change.
So we were talking earlier in the show with Rick Kamala about, this jumbled, I don't want to call it a mess, just this jumbled situation we've got in the Western Conference. And I thought JVT asked a really interesting question regarding the Lakers, the Clippers, and the Warriors. Is there a team that you trust more, Zach, or is this just a situation where we got to see where the bracket unfolds, and if whoever's on the opposite side of the bracket of OKC, that could lead to maybe some interest from a future standpoint?
So the bracket is really important. I don't think that the Clippers would benefit from being the 4 seed and having to face OKC in round 2. Having said that, I think that there's still a lot of value on the Clippers at 18-1 to win the West and even 50-1 to win the title. I just think if you sort things back from March 1st on, there are 3 teams in the league with net ratings of plus 12 or better at cleaning the glass. That's Oklahoma City, Boston, and the Clippers. This has been a team that has been operating on an elite level ever since everybody's gotten healthy. I think that they have the depth that you need to win a title. It's just a matter of whether or not Leonard could stay healthy throughout the playoffs. Obviously, that's baked in a little bit, but that is a team that is still screaming value. And I love the fact that we have this jumble because it still means you can grab some teams at good numbers right now.
How much did you pay him for that?
I'm telling you, look, I will be very muted in my support for the Clippers, but there is no denying how well they have played here down the stretch. But as I will always keep saying, I will recognize any trepidation that anybody has about this team given its history, and I think that's a fair thing to do. Zach, let me ask you, we mentioned Jalen Wells and the unfortunate incident yesterday. Can he win Rookie of the Year? Because there were a few people out there, including Matt Moore, that in that incident, along with tweeting out some commentary on it, had also noted that he was his Rookie of the Year. Where is this race at? And I got to ask you about Defensive Player of the Year first, but can Wells actually win this thing, or is this still going to be Castles?
I think that a lot of really smart people think that Wells should win because he has impacted winning in a way that Castle hasn't, and he's played a big rotation role for a Grizzlies team that is in the playoffs right now. I think that's the argument for him. Castle has been, really awesome in a lot of ways, but analytically he's been a disaster, just one of the worst players in the league. But I do think that Castle is going to end up winning because there's been flashes of just some really good offensive play and some really good defensive stuff. I think that he's a huge favorite in the market for a reason, but I do think that it should be a little closer depending on what you value.
The other thing, and I think I texted this to you guys when we were texting a little bit earlier in the Harvard Handicappers group chat. Rest in peace, by the way. Both members of the Harvard Handicappers group chat, including myself, have been on in this hour, so very fantastic. I think this is going to be an interesting year with the awards, where I think we're not going to be outside of MVP very accurate with where these markets are priced. I think Defensive Player of the Year is one of those as well. We're starting to see some media members voice their opinions on Defensive Player of the Year. I'm not hearing a lot of Draymond Green. Now, I've not heard a lot of opinions, but you're not hearing a lot of Draymond Green from the people who actually have the votes. Where do you stand with that market, as he is about a $3 favorite?
I genuinely have no idea where it's going to go. I agree with you. I don't think that there's a clear runaway favorite. So I don't think that there's anyone everyone's, jumping to pick when they don't really know who to take. So I think that Green lobbying for himself helps. Having said that, there are guys that I think are a little bit more deserving. I think that Dyson Daniels deserves it more than Green. And I've mentioned to you and Kelley, I think Ivica Zubac is a player that, maybe should win this award just based on what he has meant to a Clippers team that has been elite defensively, has really good numbers in terms of stocks. I don't really see why he's not a bigger part of the conversation. He's not even listed at some places. So it seems like he's not an option, but he maybe should be winning it.
And how much? Another Clipper reference?
You want another one? Tamara Zarley, who covers the Clippers, just put up a 90-second video of Kawhi Leonard hitting, I think, 12 straight mid-range jump shots. It's on, baby. It's on.
They're good. I mean, they're really good. It's easy to miss out on it.
First round, Kawhi's going to get hurt, and you're going to be crying again. Zach, always appreciate it, man. Never change that Twitter handle, okay?
Yep. Thanks, guys.
At Betting on X is where you can find him on social media. It is VSiN Primetime.